Hello and welcome back to the MC Championship video. We've been blessed with the MCC 21 teams this week, so let's discuss each team, analyze their strengths and weaknesses, and try to rank each one from first to last. And I say try because damn, they're balanced. All thanks go to Scott's Major for these insane teams. A quick disclaimer, my discussion of each team is based purely on facts and statistics from past events, nothing will be made up, and as for my ranking, it's all opinion based while remaining unbiased. So please, if you have something to say about these teams, then go ahead and join me down below in the comments, share your thoughts in the MCC 21 teams. Don't tell me I'm wrong, because once again, it's my opinion, and yeah, I'm most definitely wrong with all of my placements because the teams are more balanced than ever before. Also, there are so many possible combinations for where to put each team, plus we don't know the game order or what games will be in this event, and the coin multiplier therefore makes it impossible for me to get every single placement correct, but in previous videos I managed to put just a couple right. With that out of the way, let's look at our MCC 21 teams. In last place, but by no means the worst team, the Aqua Axolotls. This doesn't look like a last place team, but then again none of the other teams look like last place teams. It's only been a few days since team announcements, and 3/4 of this team have already begun doing team practice together. Coming off of his best performance in MCC 20 with 4th individual and a win, no surprise that Anfrost will be leading this team with his consistent performances as a PvP mastermind and versatile playstyle. Joining him is fellow Manhunt Hunter, Bad Boy Halo, not the most frequent of players, but after his shaky debut finishing 34th in MCC 14, he redeemed himself after winning MCC 16 with a huge improvement of 16th individual, as well as 9th individual with the Dream Team in All-Stars, another event which he won. G Nelly has only played once back in MCC 18 with a decent 28th place finish, but with the amount of practice she's done, it's clear that she's determined to improve. Finally, although technically a new player to canon events, Jojo Solos has come from playing in 2 non-canon events, finishing 5th and 12th in Rising and All-Stars respectively. If this team can put up the high numbers they've delivered in the past, it won't be a surprise if they excel at the movement games and finish higher than 10th. Next up in 9th, we have the Lime Llamas. This team is very similar to the MCC 19 Gingerbread Men, but Good Times of Scar swaps in for Gemnite. While still statistically the strongest current MCC player of all time, Pizza Hut's rather inconsistent Season 2 performance has been the reason for some people to place this team very low. But I have a rather different justification, more on that later. While Pete just came from a 12th place finish in the most recent event, his dominance in movement like Ace Race and Rocket Speed Rush can really benefit this team provided those games are played near the end. The famous duo of Pete and Green returns again, so the synergy and chemistry is already established there. Pete just teamed with Scar in MCC 20, promising him a fun, non-competitive event, something that this team may well do again. It's been highly requested for the Scar plus Green duo from Hermitcraft, so it's clear that this team is more based off of fan service rather than core balancing. Despite this, the team is still quite strong, with Green and Solidarity both pulling placements around the middle of the pack, as highlighted with MCC 19 where they finished 17th and 21st respectively. Just a fun and super non-competitive POV here. Now we have one of the most iconic teams in MCC history, the Crimson Krakens. What started as a super crack team in MCC 4 exactly 2 years ago has now turned into one of the most famous MCC teams to date, and now they're back for Season 2, after finishing 3rd together in MCC 4, 4th together in MCC 5, and sadly 3rd again in MCC 7. Kratzy will most likely lead the team as usual with one of the highest total PvP averages in this event, though it's worth noting his insanely inconsistent Season 2 placements, from 5th in MCC 14 to 19th in MCC 20, but he appears determined to get Captain Sparkles his first win, breaking the curse on the team that started it all. The captain has had an awkward past few events, from 31st individual in MCC 19 to 9th individual in MCC 20. He's a proven all-rounder with heavy movement strengths, mostly in Ace Race. Krinios has shown to have drastically improved through Season 2, with 10th place in MCC 19 after a shocking 28th place with Kratzy in MCC 15. Kara has had a terrible Season 2 so far, it's fair to say, always placing bottom 10 individually, but she has performed better in the past when teamed with the rest of the Krakens here. With the lowest team average for Season 2, what this team really has is chemistry, and they can really use that to their advantage, especially for PvP coordination and comms. This is statistically a high-performing battle box team. Moving on to 7th place, which will be the Green Geckos. In many ways, I can describe this team as a wild card, though that really goes for any of Tommy's teams at this point, considering his variable and very random individual placements throughout Season 2. Dream returns after his absence from MCC 20, teaming once again with Tommy, just like in MCC 17 where their team came 7th. Dream has already teamed with Sylvie twice in MCC 7 and 9. Sylvie teamed with Niachu in MCC 15. Sylvie teamed with Tommy in MCC 6. Tommy teamed with Niachu in MCC 14. So yes, lots of pre-established chemistry in place here. We just haven't seen a Dream plus Niachu team up until now. Dream has been one of the most well-known MCC players for his incredible PvP and movement capabilities, cementing himself as one of the scariest and strongest players in the whole event. Despite this team's fun antics, he'll remain serious and attempt to get his 5th canon win. Sylvie has been grinding hard for parkour and PvP on several different servers, and Niachu, despite still being statistically one of the weakest players of all time, has also put up some training too. So while on paper this team looks weak according to the numbers, in reality everyone here has dedication, and with the right morale and early momentum, this team won't be discarded as a dodgeball contender. Almost at the halfway point now, 6th place are the Blue Bats, commanded by Five coming off of his first win in MCC 20 with a respectable 8th place individual standing, specializing in strategizing for each game, but particularly for team games like Build Mart. With him is Purple, a relatively new player with his debut only last event with 15th place individual, which is really good for any newcomer to such a competitive event. He proved that, as expected, his best games would be parkour, tag, sky battle, and to get to the other side and whack a fan. So a very diverse skill set, but it leans slightly towards movement. To complement this exciting pair, we have two Dream SMP members who have never teamed with each other before, Tubbo and Jack, whereas Tubbo has put in some really clever top 20 placements for most of season 2. Jack started strong with his MCC 14 debut, but then quickly lost it, instead choosing to play for the memes and the content. But with such a supportive team covering him this time, he may choose to try a little harder and improve on his above average game sense in his weaker games. This is definitely a team to watch out for when a movement game is picked in the Decision Dome. Here we go, moving into the top 5 teams for this event, starting with the Cyan Coyotes. Sapnap returns to the event after his unfortunate ear infection that prevented him from playing in MCC 20, where he would have teamed with CPK, but at least we get to see the pair here again, even after they already teamed on the MCC 14 Blue Bats. It goes without saying that Sapnap has maintained his position as the leading PvP player in the event across survival games, battlebox, and sky battle, and recently he appears to be getting better at team comps, which has enabled progress in team games, including his team getting first place in MCC 18 build mod. CPK holds his position as an above average grinder who can usually be found training to improve for the next event. Critic Zeus typically finds himself with the rest of the Sapphire Simmers every third event in the bottom 4 individually, with the team in last place. But after teaming with Fruitberries and Illumina on the MCC 17 Pink Parrots, he showed his potential with 25th place individually, and we know he's been on some kind of training arc the past few months, so he will absolutely be a player to look out for. Finally, the new player, Snifferush. Again, another grinder who's already picked up a lot of the MCC mechanics on the training server. This is another seriously dedicated team with PvP games at the top of their priorities. Here's a fun and rather interesting one, the Pink Parrots, made up of 3/4 of the MCC 18 Science Centipedes, but swapping George in for Captain Sparkles. Once again, you've got a generic duo of Ranbu and Wilbur, with Ranbu being the likely team leader here, and Wilbur offering support during team games, particularly as the floater in build mode. Since his MCC 15 debut, Ranbu has become one of the most improved players in the event, managing as high as 4th individual in MCC 19, consistently top 15, which is insane from such a new participant. Sneak Snag is a massively inconsistent player, from 34th in MCC 17 to 12th in MCC 18 to 14th in MCC 19, and somehow back down to 31st in MCC 20. Fortunately for him, he does better on casual teams like this one, where movement is once again the strong point, although PvP is also pretty decent for this team. George returns for his first event of 2022 after pulling off back-to-back 8th place individual placements, cementing his place as a very capable secondary team player with Wilbur. So it's a very fun team, and one that I will definitely be watching the VOD for after the event. The third place team, who unfortunately barely missed Dodgebolt for this list, are the Orange Ocelots. The highly requested Phil Lumino duo is finally fulfilled here. Illumina is here after his phenomenal first place finishes in his last 2 canon events, MCCs 18 and 20. Joined by Filza, he's had a rough start to season 2, but he's back in the game now, securing 6th and 10th individually in MCCs 19 and 20 respectively, while also winning MCC 19 in the process too. After Illumina's first place in Rocket Spleef Rush last event, it's obvious that this is a strong team for that game, with Filza also claiming to be the champion of the original Rocket Spleef from season 1. Shubble is the real veteran here though, having played in every canon event ever, and can sometimes pull through with top 25 placements if her team receives as many team games as are in the roster for that event. Conversely, Elena is very new to MCC, with her debut 34th place in MCC 20, but with VOD reviews and training as she's already doing, I'm sure she'll fit into this team great and exceed her initial placement. Now here are the top 2 teams that could very well enter Dodgeball, although in actuality any of the 10 teams could make it into the finale. This is just my initial gut instinct. Our runner-up team are the Yellow Yaks, although very much reminiscent of many other past MCC teams, including the MCC 9 Blue Bats and the more recent MCC 19 Mint Mistletoes. That may work in this team's favor as they've all teamed with each other before, the only exception being Fruitberries and F-Whip haven't teamed before MCC 21. In charge of this team is legendary PvP and movement participant Fruitberries, who has literally finished top 6 in every single season 2 event, bar one unlucky incident in MCC 15. Smallish Beans has teamed with Fruit in MCCs 12 and 16, and on both instances, their teams made it to Dodgeball, only to lose. But could that change this time around? Joel is another great example of an above average player scoring highly in many team and movement games. F-Whip hasn't played in a canon event since MCC 17, yet he usually achieves slightly below average scores in each game, with occasional pop-off instances as seen back in season 1. Rendog was meant to play in MCC 20 on the Yellow Yaks before he dropped out, but I doubt that'll affect how he performs coming into a new set of events for 2022. Clearly a very stable and consistent performing team, with a trend for defying all odds and securing the win even in the most unlikely circumstances. And in first place, although I don't expect a domination from this team or a huge lead from them, the Purple Pandas. I don't think they'll be leaps and bounds ahead of everyone else. Actually, I think it will be pretty close between the top 3 or 4 for most or all of the event. Pons has had an amazing start to season 2. Just the past 3 canon events, he's finished 4th, 3rd, and 3rd again individually. Always a massive benefactor for the team, and one of the strongest PvP players of all time. Then we have event organizer Scott's Major, who hasn't been doing as well at the past few events, even after a couple of top 10 features. The last 2 canon events, MCCs 19 and 20, he's come a little below the middle of the road, at 24th and 21st respectively. Or Sam Dude has shown that despite a weak start in his debut event, he has impressive PvP abilities, which puts the team as a whole at a high chance of doing well in that aspect. And Ponk, although having only played in 3 events like Sam, isn't a weak player either. He's usually sitting around the 25th to 30th area for individual standings. It's surprising that no one on this team has ever finished bottom 10 individually, except Sam in MCC 18 with 36. That's the only time ever. I think the thing to take away from this is that rankings are starting to become more and more unpredictable, and that's a good thing because it shows that the teams are becoming more and more balanced. You know, looking at my own ranking, I feel unsure about how low I placed at Lime Llamas. Maybe they should be a couple places higher. Same for the Aqua Ocelots. I've seen the amount of practice this team has already done. If I move a team up a few spots, who should I move down? See, even as I'm recording this, I haven't made up my full mind, and that's okay. Remember, these are just initial thoughts, and they will undoubtedly change as I see which teams are putting in the most pre-event practice, and which games will be announced, and for which teams they'll benefit. I might post my final predictions right before the event starts in the comments below, so go join me there to discuss these epic teams. Well, I've been your host. I hope you found this video informative and enjoyable, and I'll catch you all in the next MCC video. See ya!